52% of pet owners in the U.S. report having skipped needed veterinary care in the past year. 37% say they visited the veterinarian but declined one or more care recommendations, and 15% who say they have not brought their pet to the veterinarian because of barriers such as financial considerations. 75% of the matches occur through this program.
Yes.
And so it's like you don't have very many options unless you go through this program.
Well, and what they're getting paid is crap.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Veterinary Roundtable, the podcast where we answer your veterinary-related questions while having some fun along the way. If you enjoyed today's episode or a previous episode, be sure to leave us a review on your podcast provider of choice. And if you have any feedback to offer to improve the Veterinary Roundtable, let us know. Reviews, baby.
Oh, my.
We're back. Look at that jump.
Wait, there's no jump on Apple.
Oh. Well, we got to jump on Spotify, everybody. Okay, well, don't forget to write us a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, especially Apple Podcasts, because it helps boost the algorithm. But on Spotify, we're at 338. Now we're at 345.
It's crazy.
Wow. Nothing on Apple, though. So that's kind of a wash. 135
I think
on
we should
Apple.
go up on Apple.
I think more and more people are doing Spotify.
So our next goal would have to be with Spotify. We had originally said 200
500 on Spotify.
That's what I think. 500.
All right, 500 on Spotify. You heard it here.
Okay.
And we'll do something.
We'll do something. We're not sure what.
We're not skydiving.
We should probably start that discussion now.
Start it now. That's right. Send in those ideas.
Okay. Continue checking out our social media channels. We have Instagram and TikTok at the Veterinary Roundtable. We also have a YouTube channel where all of our video podcasts are published going forward. It is the Veterinary Roundtable if you want to see us instead of just listen to us. And then we also, if you missed them, we did 2 recent guest episodes with Holly Napier and Dr. Ellen Ratcliffe. They were very, very good,
fun,
and exciting, and had a lot of information.
Yeah,
so make sure to listen to those and check those out.
Yep.
I'm Courtney Allen.
I'm Dr. Emily King.
I'm Dr. Ashlyn Duckwall.
And you're listening to the Veterinary Roundtable.
That was so botched. I think we should stop that.
We can't now.
They know
now
what
it's
they're
like
listening to if they clicked on
now
it.
it's a signature thing.
Considering I just said check out our Instagram and stuff, and that's the Veterinary Roundtable, so we don't need to say what they're listening to. They already know what they're listening to.
It's true.
And if they don't, that's their problem.
Okay, good point. We'll still say it again. I have a feeling.
Okay.
Because we're going to forget. All right, pits and peaks. I have so many peaks.
Oh,
that's good. Do you want to do one or more?
I'll do 2 peaks instead of a pit.
Okay.
That's
well,
fine.
I mean, everyone's going to have the weather as a pit. Like, it's just an assumption.
I like it.
Yeah.
You like the rainy weather?
Yeah, kind of.
It's like 50 degrees
I know,
at the end of May. I'm like, it needs to be 75.
My house is cold, and I like when my house is cold.
I do too, but
I hate when my house is cold. I wear a robe over my sweatpants and sweatshirt.
Yep.
Well, my upstairs gets really hot. It doesn't circulate well, so if it's hot outside, I can't sleep.
That's fair.
But my peaks are the Pacers.
Yeah.
We talked about that earlier.
Go Sirs.
Go Pacers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Holden graduated from college.
Oh,
go Holden.
How was that? Did you have to sit through that long ceremony?
Nope. He decided he did not want to walk.
Oh, okay. Well,
so
that's nice.
Boys are so funny because they're just like, nah, never mind. They're like, I hand them a card with my name on it and they read it and that's it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, and I didn't tell him in time I was going to have guests, so I didn't get any tickets. I was like, okay. He's like, so never mind.
I mean, it's really nice for you. Those are boring.
Yeah. I was like, we'll do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then they said that he wasn't going to walk, and I was like, you win. So
congrats, Holden.
Yeah,
What's
he and
next in
Evelyn
his
got
life?
these adorable pictures taken of graduation with their graduation stuff on, and Marty has a Purdue bandana on. It's so cute.
So what's next for Holden?
He is working at Eli Lilly in their
lovely.
cyber security department.
Oh, nice.
Fun.
Yeah.
So does he live in downtown?
No, he's living in West Lafayette because Evelyn's going to vet school down there.
Oh, yeah.
So he commutes. I think he has to be in the office 3 days a week.
Okay.
And so then he's remote 2 days a week.
That's nice.
That's
So
still a
yeah.
decent drive.
Yeah.
But
he's going to
nice.
stay at the house just when he comes in.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
yeah, he's super excited. So, very awesome.
And he didn't fly far from the nest.
Nope. And as I say, it's another one off of payroll, baby.
Yeah.
So, well, as of July when he actually starts. But until then, he's using up all my money.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. Okay.
What you got?
My pit is that my old man, Frankie, my dog, he's getting old. And, it's that slow, gradual heartbreak when you watch your dog get old.
Mm-hmm.
And, when that's the biggest issue and he doesn't have any other medical issues, it's okay. But I got him booty socks so he doesn't slip.
It's really cute.
On our hardwood. And they actually work really well for him.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yes, because he's 90 pounds.
Yeah.
And lifting him is hard in general, especially when he's splaying and like not catching himself.
Right.
So I just put him on the back so far and it seems to help him steady himself to get up. But yeah, and then I'm going to bring him in tomorrow for like just a good once over. Like, let's do some blood work. Let's do some nail trim. Like, let's get him. He's already on meds. He's on gabapentin and Rimadyl, JD joint food, and Rengessa joint supplement. I have not pulled for Librela because in my mind, I'm like, then we're really out of options after that. So we'll see how the booties go. We just got them.
Okay.
So prayers for Frank because it's a slow heartbreak.
It is hard. I have an old cat that came in the clinic today to get blood drawn, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have something wrong with him.
Yes.
Frank doesn't, but my cat will. He's like 19.
But even like we just had a youth yesterday where like when the dogs aren't mobile and they're large, that's so difficult. It's difficult on the owners. It's difficult on the pet. When they fall, it's a bigger fall. Like, so it's just still one of those, like, I feel like it's the hardest euthanasia conversation when you're talking about quality of life because of their joints and mobility.
Because they're healthy. Otherwise, it's frustrating.
Wagging
more than
tail,
anything.
eating treats, happy.
Arthritis sucks.
Yeah. So we're not there yet at all for Frank.
Yeah.
No. My peak is, I would say going to the Pacers game with my husband
next
for his
week.
birthday.
Or
next
Sunday,
week.
I guess I should say.
Yeah. So by the time this airs, it'll be done. Hopefully it was a win, a victory.
Hopefully we're going to the finals. I don't know if it'll be by that time.
I don't know, but I'm pumped for the game.
That's only game 2.
Yeah.
They have to win 4
there's that many
games.
days between the games. I thought they were like every other day. They're playing
they gotta
7
travel.
games. They can't do that many.
They got to travel.
Are they playing 2 in New York?
Yeah, it's 2 here, 2 there.
It's 2 in New York, 2 here.
So
then if they have to go past that, then they do 7 games. Because
Right.
technically it's a 7-game series.
Right, that's what
But they have to win 4 games.
So they had their first one in New York. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is I thought that they usually did 2 away, 2 here.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope it says I got tickets for Sunday. So if I don't,
we're going to figure that out.
I'm be pissed.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
I'm asking right now.
I can call Jacob and he can tell me.
We'll see what Siri says.
Okay, Courtney, you go while she's
When
doing
is
that
the
thing.
next Pacer game?
The next Pacer game is Sunday.
It's tomorrow at 8 p.m. I'm right.
Yeah. Oh, there's a game tomorrow?
Yes, I
guess
thought
so.
I was losing my head. Okay, because back in the day when I was growing up, that was always the way it is that
Just
it's
every
2,
other day.
2, 2,
Yeah.
2. 1 is the lower seed, like the lowest seed, the better seed
Yeah.
would get 4 games out of the
Yes.
7. So that's why it was so important for us to win. Sorry, I'm taking away from your peak.
I don't care.
That's why it was so important for us to win an away game, because now all we have to do is win our home games.
That's true.
Yeah.
Which is technically easier.
Right?
Better.
Exactly.
Because you have the
Not
crowd.
necessarily.
Which is on Sunday.
Yes.
Is the first home
Which
game.
is where I will be.
Yes. I will be watching the game on Friday night as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same. Okay.
My pit is that I'm sick.
Yeah. Nobody likes that.
I've been sick since like last weekend. I got better and then I got worse. So I'm just annoyed. And then my peak, I hate being
is
sick.
very
I
annoying.
can't stand it.
I'm annoyed.
I don't like missing work. It pisses me off. My peak, I really can't even remember what I've done this week
You have
or
brain
last
fog.
weekend.
You have brain fog from being sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's hard.
You just live. You just be.
Shoot. I have a wedding this weekend.
Oh, weddings are fun.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be my peak. I get to see 2 people in love, and I love love.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's something
Weddings
to look
are fun.
forward to.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, Tales from the Trenches. You're up, King, because she did the one, then I did the one.
Okay.
So you're up.
All right, so this is a new segment called Tales from the Trenches, where we want listeners to send in their most ridiculous, funny, unhinged stories that we then read on the podcast. They can send their stories to the Veterinary Roundtable at gmail.com.
I couldn't remember our email last time.
Now, we do not read these ahead of time, so I don't know what I'm reading. So,
best of luck.
Yeah, I'm going to try and pronounce every word correctly and not flub it up. Okay. Hello, Vet Roundtable team. Longtime listener since I started working in vet med about 2 years ago.
Oh.
Just wanted to start out by sharing that I just got offered a position at an emergency referral center in my area, which is a huge step up for me coming from the GP, as I'm always on a mission to see more interesting cases, so that's exciting.
Congrats.
Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. This little tale happened just a couple days ago and left our treatment area in shambles. That's not good. Everyone mouth agape hearing the words of one of our CSR receptionists. This CSC has a tendency to wander into the back sometimes without having much to bring up. So it wasn't particularly unusual when he walked back, bless you, and was hesitant to say anything. I asked what was up while I was working on a pet. The treatment area was bustling with everybody working on treatments. I love her words. People chattering, our doctor in between calls to the owners, and a dental cleaning happening. Everyone stopped in their tracks, though, when our CSC called out this insane news. He started out with, so everyone knows Lucy and Linus, right? We have several Lucy-Linus pairs, so we asked a couple of questions to narrow down which one. Then asked what was up. He then announces, well, apparently Lucy and Linus' owner is traveling right now in Central Florida, and unfortunately, Lucy passed away this morning. Now, she was a pretty old pup, so we weren't surprised, but without missing a beat, he continued, yeah, she was eaten by a gator. They bound her leg this
morning. Oh, no. Oh, no, Lucy.
That's amazing. Oh, my God.
Keep going. It's funny. Can you even cremate that?
Everyone's jaws dropped, and we kind of looked at each other, trying not to laugh as the room was entirely silent. The receptionist then pondered aloud. What are they going to do with the leg? Can you even cremate that? Or are they just throwing it back to the gators? Like, what?
Oh, no.
Here, Gator.
Finish your meal.
We all moved on after the initial shock, and I was talking to our doctor a little bit later, and she said, I really thought he was pulling our leg. And before I could even think about it, I instinctively said, no, Lucy's leg is the one who got pulled. What a fun day in the clinic. That was haha. Anyways, hope you all have a fantastic week. Love what you guys do, Genevieve. Okay, that was funny.
Oh, it's like Lucy. Funny because we're reading it, but like it's really sad. But
I would be so sad as an owner.
There was a video circulating years ago on social media of this, like it was like a complex where older, like a senior citizen retired, or like complex area, like condos. And there was a little dog who an alligator came up and took the dog, and this little old lady's like trying to run to get her dog from the gator. It was like a real life thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm sure they just wait. And then if Lucy was old,
she couldn't run.
I wonder what kind of dog Lucy was.
I'm just picturing an old like Shih Tzu white dog thing, you know?
Just running.
I'm sorry.
We're done, right?
I hope Linus is okay.
But yeah, was Linus there? Did he watch
or did he throw Lucy to the wolves to the gators because he's like, I still have a lot of life to live.
Oh, poor Lucy.
Can you imagine finding your dog's leg?
No, I cannot. That's just
I have a really
I think
sad
I would
story,
throw
but
up.
I'm not gonna. I don't know if I should say it.
Say it.
Okay. One of our classmates, she works in emergency. It's always emergency. But she told us a story and sent us the pictures that a family got home and somebody had like, I don't know if it was broken into their house or something, and ripped the dog's legs off. Yeah. Ripped one. I know one of them because I can still picture the picture she sent us.
Oh my god!
Ripped the dog's leg off. I'm pretty sure the dog was dead as well, but like,
I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's like
crazy.
That's like what happens when like foxes and stuff break into like people's chickens and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
They just like take parts.
It happened to us. A couple massacres in our house.
Yeah, no.
Or outside our house, I guess I should say.
The ducks.
Our ducks got ripped to shreds.
Oh my god.
I saw one little feather and knew it was bad, but then Charles sent me a picture of a beheaded duck, and then one of them, there was gizzards and stuff in another location. A throat was ripped out.
That's horrible.
I know.
Oh, my gosh.
And it was during the day, by the way. All you listeners, I take care of our ducks. We put them in at night. This was during the day when they were in a shelter.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
So anyway, you never know.
R.I.P. Lucy.
The wolf wants what the wolf wants.
Circle of life.
Okay. Wow. Good story. Okay. Thanks, Genevieve.
That was a good laugh.
Okay. Trending topics. This is a hefty one today, gang. So keep up.
We got a lot. Yeah.
And it's also very interesting topics to discuss. The first one being a class action lawsuit from veterinary interns. This I thought was fascinating because I read the article and I thought they have a good argument.
I do too.
I'm not going to lie.
I do too. Because 75% of the matches occur through this program?
Yes.
And so it's like you don't have very many options unless you go through this program.
Well, and what they're getting paid is crap. So is there like this, what am I trying to say? Like a ceiling that this platform has said that they have to keep their right? Did they say their wages at? And they're arguing that, they get offered other stuff, which is why their wages are so low. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's not like $50,000 worth of stuff that they're getting.
Yeah. All that experience.
All that experience. Oh, yeah, that's right. They don't have to pay for the mentorship experience. Yeah. That was the big reason.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
No tuition.
Yeah.
I think like some of the stuff, which it was like you couldn't, not allowing applicants to negotiate or accept a position with a program participating or a similar program at the same institution. Mm-hmm. Prohibiting employers from making commitments or contracts with applicants prior to notification of the selections. They can't transfer between programs.
Yep. Also interesting.
They
can't be offered a job if they didn't match directly. Mm-hmm. All of it seems pretty
penalties if you breach the terms of the agreement. Yeah, it's very interesting.
I think it's a really good argument, and I'm very curious to see where it goes. Hopefully for the better of all those interns and residents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's hard enough as it is, and so then I mean they should be able to negotiate to be competitive with each other.
I mean, like an annual salary of $30,000.
Yeah.
And then it obviously compared with as a new graduate, the starting salary it lists here $106,000, almost $107,000.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, woof.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully we can get more. Well, I read in there, was it in there that it said rarely do class action lawsuits go to court?
I think it was trial by jury. Class action lawsuits rarely go to trial. Most cases are decided at the class certification stage.
Okay, well, I guess we'll see.
So hopefully it'll be a quick turnaround on what they decide.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, they cite the non-salary benefits of free tuition and experienced mentorship. Yeah.
$70,000 worth of mentorship, mind you.
Yeah.
Better be some damn good mentorship.
Yeah. I mean, they're just so low compared to.
Yeah. It's just, yeah, that's wild. So good for them for doing the class action lawsuit. Best of luck.
Good job for
because you're going against some big guns. So
yeah, for sure.
Okay, number 2.
Moving along. Our second trending topic is the new Librela study showing joint destruction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody's seen the pictures, but they look pretty intense. The before and afters.
Yes.
Because that's the first thing I saw, and then I looked at the article about everything, but...
Yeah, I mean, just like, well, you'll hear it in another podcast that we had with a guest regarding studies and what to look for when they're set up. But I think you have to look at the big picture, obviously, and that would include the patients involved in the study and how many.
Mm-hmm.
This had, what, 19?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 19. Because it was kind of like a retrospective study, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And then they went back and pulled data as well. I was pulling up this other so I could not make a mistake when I was talking about So I think that there was like, how many,
Okay, well, this is the conclusion of the study. I'll just read that. It says a review of 19 suspected musculoskeletal adverse events in an 18-member expert panel unanimously concluded a strong suspicion of a causal association between Librela and accelerated joint destruction. So in the conclusion, it said the study supports recent FDA analysis by demonstrating an increased reporting rate of musculoskeletal adverse events in dogs treated with Librela. Further investigation and close clinical monitoring of treated dogs are warranted.
Mm-hmm.
That's verbatim right there. The part of the results and conclusion of the study. It was a case control study and case series analysis.
There were only 19 patients, though.
Yes.
Only 19, and they compared it to 6 other drugs used with the same indication.
And I think that's, what do they say? The article is divided into 2 parts, a disproportionality analysis and a case series of, we needed Brian to be on this episode so we could go through.
I know, right? Shoot.
So to our knowledge, a descriptive disproportionality analysis has never been reported and is not referenced. The incomplete data extracted from the European Medicines Agency database has limitations. So there's no data for any product prior to 2004. So, I mean, I think like there's a bunch of holes in the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that those cases didn't occur. I think they did. I think that the overall efficacy and safety of Librela remains static. I mean, they still have been able to not prove more than 1 in 1,000. I think rare. They're still rare adverse events.
Well, I think just like any drug, there's still going to be continued research on it, especially if there's new findings or new concerns or going off of already done studies to investigate that further.
No drug is going to be perfect and one and done.
Right.
Not ever going to have adverse reactions or side effects to it.
Right.
Yeah, and I
That'll
think
never happen.
No single type of adverse event has been reported at a rate of more than 1 in 1,000 doses.
Yeah.
So it's still even
a safe drug.
After 28 million doses? Something
That's
stupid.
Crazy.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that.
That's insane.
I mean, here it comes down to, anytime you use a drug, you need to evaluate what's in front of you. You discuss openly the potential pros and cons of any drug and go from there.
Well, and I think if you've got a case that is struggling, like you've got multiple limbs affected, you think you have like generalized osteoarthritis, you probably should take x-rays.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so you have some kind of baseline.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Then if something doesn't go according to plan, then you've got something to compare to.
Yes.
And I do think that there's some erosive condition in people that is made worse by monoclonal antibodies with the anti-nerve growth factor. And so then they're drawing a similar conclusion to what's happening in people. And so that's why they're saying, okay, we got to be aware of these monoclonal antibodies or whatever. But I don't think to date has been proven in dogs that there's that same genetic thing going on. How vague is that for you? There's a lot of vagueness there.
I'm sure someone's out there.
Listen, we're trying to get the guy from Zoetis on, the chief medical officer. So if we can, then that's going to be really informative because we're going to hear a lot of very helpful information.
Exactly. Straight from the horse's mouth.
Yep.
Dr. Richard Goldstein, if you are listening to the podcast, please come on the podcast.
Okay, Dr. Goldstein.
Dr. Goldstein, you have been outed.
We want you.
We do like Librela. We use a lot of Librela.
Yeah.
I think that there will be a lot of people sad if Librela went away as far as like as an option for their dogs.
Yeah.
My question to you guys is that Librela has been in the UK for a decent amount of time, right? Or just Europe in general, right? Along with products like Silencia and whatnot. Like they're launched in the UK or in Europe for a while before they come to the United States.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Why didn't we see any kind of outrage over Librela in Europe? Is it just a bunch of media like outrage that's kind of gotten out of hand? Or
probably.
I thought too, we talked about how in Europe they're using it more in younger dogs too, whereas here we started using it in older populations, which then are more prone to issues anyway.
Well, it was interesting because I looked at the 19 cases that those people looked at, basically. So they picked 19 cases and they were younger animals so like it made me wonder, like, okay, do these pets have something else underlying,
Right.
But, when I did a post on, was it on this? I did a post on something and somebody wrote back and was like, we aren't having any trouble. We're not hearing a lot about this. And they were overseas.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I've been using it for years and nobody's talking about this.
Interesting.
So I don't know if it is just
maybe our social media perspective. Is a bigger thing.
Yeah.
And words gets around faster. And
I have no doubt that those animals had those issues. I just don't think that it's a large enough.
Yeah. Or it's just the one study, right?
Right. Well, and in the article, though, it referenced the reporting of adverse events and how it's incomplete and that people don't necessarily report them. So then really the numbers are skewed because I'm like, but you can't really, how do you can only work with what you have, which is what's reported.
Yeah. Yeah.
So true. You could make up all kinds of things like, well, maybe there's 5 more dogs that didn't get reported because the veterinarian didn't know to report it or whatever. But you could do that all day long with everything.
I know.
So how do you, I think you can only work with what you have then, which is the adverse events that are reported.
Yep.
And I think, was there an issue with how they were classified in the article? Like they were talking about how one person would classify it as this and then somebody else would classify it as mild. And so then in the reporting system, then there was discrepancy in the reporting system or something.
I don't know. Too subjective is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Instead of objective.
So, I don't know. What's everybody else's take out there? I'd like to hear what everybody else thinks.
What do you think of the information? Are you focusing on certain media information, like in groups that are out there that only feed negative? Do you look at the whole picture? Do you have a dog with it?
Has anybody used it on their own dogs?
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
Number 3 is also, it's all juicy.
It is all juicy. It is. This was a really fun week of
I feel like we were journalists because we were texting, we should talk about this. We should talk about this. So number 3 in our trending topics is Royal Veterinary College facing U.S. Accreditation challenge.
Yikes. That's a big one.
Yeah. Yeah. That article is interesting as well.
Oh, it is. Oh, is it?
Okay. So summary of it is to continue to have accreditation, I guess, over in Europe, right? Is it Europe or is it just a certain area of Europe?
No, it is Europe. U.S. accreditation in Europe.
Yes. Okay. So you have to have at least an 80% pass rate of the NAVLE because that's the test that we use in the United States.
I think anywhere. Sorry, I didn't know where you were going with that. Yes, I think anywhere it's 80%. I think the COE has decided 80% is the
80. Okay, you have to have an 80% pass rate.
This is only one factor of U.S. accreditation.
Yes,
is test scores.
Yes. Okay. So Royal Veterinary College is facing issues because they have not met that 80% in the last 3 years.
3 years.
So it's been 60? It was 62.
It was at 71, 63, and 60.
Yeah. And 21, 22, 22, 23, and 23, 24.
Yep.
So now we're in 24, 25. This was their year of you've got to pass it or you're
no more
going to lose your accreditation.
Yeah.
And can you imagine being the senior class and taking the NAVLE?
No pressure, right?
Except for that, I don't know if they knew this. I don't know if RVC communicated, and I've gotten so many texts after I did that one post from students over there, but I don't know if they communicated with the students this is the last year we have to pass this. I do think students have said they've been working with the students to try and get them ready to be able to pass it. But a lot of people think that these students maybe are just trying to take the test. They don't think they're going to come to America.
Yes, that was in the article.
Yeah.
They're not as serious about it because they're just going to stay over there anyway.
Yeah, we'll just take it. We'll just practice. We'll take it. And so then they're lowering the scores.
It's not that big of a deal to them.
Or maybe the curriculum's different.
I don't know.
In North American schools versus
I thought there was a student
European
in
schools.
The article, though, that was I wish they were I wish they were honest about what was going on with this when they started going to that school.
Well, go from the DMs that we have gotten through my mom's account, they said that yes, they were talking to the students, but from what we understand, they were downplaying the issue significantly. So they were kept saying,
shady.
We're going to fix this. We're going to resolve this, giving them kind of a surefire response, when in reality that's not entirely the truth from what we know now.
That's not cool.
Nope. So
the problem with that is if you're not U.S. So why do we care if they're U.S. accredited? Well, you care because you can't sit for the NAVLE if you're not U.S. accredited. If you can't sit for the NAVLE, then you cannot just come back after graduating and start working in the United States. Correct. So then you have only a couple of options. You can go through the foreign graduate blah, blah program or this other veterinary equal assessment.
Yep.
Either one of them create more time and more expense for you.
Exactly. With an already heavy curriculum you just did.
Right.
So they better get their ducks in a row.
So like and I think the other problem is that in the North American, and I may be wrong about this, but I think the way it was explained to me is in the North American schools, if this happens, you're granted like the terminal year. If they lose accreditation, then the students that are there can still take the NAVLE.
Oh.
You got accepted when the school was accredited, kind of.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
That does not happen in Europe. You do not get a terminal year.
Oh, so if they lose their accreditation, those people are screwed.
Yes.
Oh, shoot.
And I think that's what the students are struggling with because now,
what do I do? Because if you want to leave Europe, you can't.
Well, and I had one student text me like, I'm stopping my first year. I'm coming back to the United States. I'm going to reapply.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, then that's even more money to reapply, right?
Yeah.
And some more messages that we've gotten have said that the program that you need to go through to kind of restart all of this is $10,000 plus.
The foreign graduate program.
Which is why we got a few comments on that video saying, well, yeah, I mean, you can restart the process. I mean, people have been doing that for years and years. Like, it's not that big of a deal. When in reality, like Mom, what you were saying earlier, it adds more expense, adds more time to your overall journey.
And we're talking about North American students.
Yeah.
So students from America or Canada going over and then their families are here. They're coming back. They wanted a different experience. They wanted whatever. So they were coming back to the United States. I get European students not potentially living over here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then they're coming through, or they were raised in European schools. And so then they're going to European schools. And so then they're like, oh yeah, they just expect that they're going to have to go through that graduate program to come into the United States.
Yeah.
But
they budget for it, maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
That's crazy.
Well, Glasgow, University of Glasgow
is having the same.
No, that it dropped because they reached it.
Oh, did they reach it?
That's what the article said.
Okay,
They were on probation for like 2 years in a row, and then it finally got lifted because they did it.
Yeah.
So,
it's a big
pissed.
Yeah, it's a big ball of madness.
Well, we have a linked listener question to this.
Okay. Should we go to that listener question since we're talking about it?
Let's see if they have something to say about it. Hey, VRT, I love listening to your podcast while I work overnights. You all have such great educational content with a dose of fun in every episode. I'm a student entering the University of Glasgow's veterinary medicine program in September 2025. And with it being an international school, it got me thinking, what are your opinions on AVMA accredited international schools? Do you think it's a good idea for veterinary students to go abroad for their doctorate education and come back to practice in America? I have personally seen negative stigma around international schools and practices I've worked in, with some insinuating they are easier schools who don't teach as rigorously as U.S. schools. Have you ever encountered this? Thank you so much and keep rocking it, Aspen. Well, I think you're safe with Glasgow based off of I think it's fantastic. If you're going to spend money and time of your life in your younger years, and you want to go over abroad and learn, do it.
Do it because that's the time to do it.
Yeah. I don't think there's any problem. I have not heard that stigma that it's just easier. Plus, it said in the article about the Royal College that it's one of the best, it was or is one of the best veterinary colleges.
Yeah.
So, or what? I don't know.
Yeah. No,
I think I wouldn't worry so much about that stigma. I mean, if that's...
Do it if you want to do it.
Heck yeah. And I think you're safe with Glasgow.
I think you just have to know the cons. U.S. accreditation could be pulled.
Exactly.
So then you cannot take the NAVLE. You'd have to then go through a different a different way to get here.
You don't have your family as close, which is sometimes a really nice saving grace when you're going through it.
Yep.
Depending on where you're at in your life with family.
And then the curriculums may be different in terms of what they focus on. Mm-hmm. Maybe like their nitty gritty things may be different if you're in a different country than in the United States. You know what I mean? So
it's no different than researching what school you want to apply to and go to. Like it's no different than that. It just has different elements to it.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever, I'm never like, I think that there are stigmas around veterinarians from other countries practicing in the United States, whether they're well-founded or not. I think that those do exist.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you not agree?
I just don't know if I've been exposed to that many stigmas about it. I mean...
Do I need to remind you of?
Sure.
No, I'm just saying, I'm just saying that there are... So she's asking the question, are there negative stigmas around international schools in practice?
Are you talking about like they just don't know as much? Are you talking about the way they talk to people?
No, I'm just saying, knowledge.
Knowledge. Okay. I have heard that stigma when I was in school and there were students from outside coming in. So yes, I guess I've heard that.
Yeah.
But then it never stuck because then you meet the people, you work with them, and then you realize most of the time it's fine.
Right.
So I'm sure, just like with anything, there's one or two people that ruin it for everyone else.
I would agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
So, I mean,
yeah.
Who cares about the stigma?
I think
if you go over there and you don't like it, then just come back.
I think if you know your stuff and that's really the biggest thing is if you know your stuff when you come back and you're trying to work in a practice.
Yep.
Nobody's going to care if you know your things.
Yes.
If you know not to give steroids and non-steroidals together. If you know that you don't give steroids, non-steroidals, Lasix, and a dose of a fluoroquinolone at the same time, probably not necessary.
For everything.
Or if you know that, all I'm saying is, if you know your stuff, then there is no,
if you know that where there's urinary stones and where there's kidney stones, that's a big deal.
Right.
It's a good example.
Know your stuff, and then there is no stigma.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I think we
laid
that out nicely.
Hammered it.
Okay. Great job, ladies.
Thank you so much, Aspen, for your question.
Yes.
Go have fun.
Okay. We have one and final trending topics. Our fourth one, it is survey for pet owner price sensitivity. Oh dear.
Which, this is why I asked the question.
Topic
when I was looking at it, PetSmart Charities ran this, which is tied to VPA, is it not?
They probably ran it to...
Banfield is PetSmart.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Banfield is tied.
Yeah. Well, when you texted that, I was like, what is she talking about? And then I read it, and I was like, okay, that makes sense because they're trying to find another reason to introduce the VPA position because owners are complaining about cost, and the VPAs are supposed to give access to care and drive down cost, which... What?
52% of pet owners in the U.S. report having skipped needed veterinary care in the past year.
Oh, there's
37% say they visited the veterinarian but declined one or more care recommendations, and 15% who say they have not brought their pet to the veterinarian because of barriers such as financial considerations.
Okay, this goes back to a question that we've asked ourselves.
Okay, what is it?
Do you think everyone's entitled to a pet if they can't pay for them?
No.
No. I mean, no, because it's an elective choice. It's not something that... you're born with and then you have to manage.
I will say I appreciate the human-animal bond, and I think it is a beautiful thing, and it is amazing to be able to love an animal and have an animal love you back. But if you can physically not afford it, then you should not have it because it's still a life you have to take care of. Same exact statement I would say with kids. If you can't financially support a human child, you should not have a human child if you can avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
a responsible decision to make.
Right.
And you have to be an adult when you are taking care of another life. And it's still a life you have to take care of.
Yeah. I mean,
just because it's free from your neighbor next door doesn't mean it's going to be free for the rest of its life.
Yeah. I think it's just another thing, too. In our industry, what does Richie say? We're out of pocket. service, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have insurance. We don't have you go to the doctor, you don't see the bill, you just pay your copay and the insurance does it, and then you have whatever you have left. That's just not the way our industry works. And so people feel the expense of medical care greatly.
Because it's right there in your face.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're left with having to make decisions of, oh, do I do this for my pet or do I not because it costs this much? Yes, that is the reality of it. I mean, you could always get insurance for your pet, but you still have to pay up front at the visit. So I
just find it really hard to believe that veterinarians, that the one question in here where they were talking about, where the most pet owners report few cost alternatives were provided for care. So did your veterinarian offer a low cost alternative? And 73% said no.
I don't
believe that.
Well, that's also, if it's true, that's a failure on our end.
Yes, I agree.
That is our duty.
Maybe because I'm thinking of how we work. But I mean, I can't imagine, because when somebody gets a treatment plan and they can't afford it, we just then allocate funds to what we think is best.
Remember we had that listener write in and say,
oh, true.
The amputation wasn't gold standard. They couldn't do it. So I'm sure there are people that are doing that, unfortunately.
And they're just saying, sorry, we can't help you.
Yes. And so then that, again, it only takes one person to ruin it for everybody.
Yep.
So I think that's a failure in our industry and our vet community is you have to look beyond just gold standard. You have to work with them. It's not, you can't decide whether an owner is going to go get a pet or not. That's not your decision. You are there to help them navigate it, I guess. So,
yeah. They're going to continue this biannually to track progress and impact. Isn't that interesting?
That is
they're going to conduct a survey twice a year, right? Is what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. Well, biannually would be every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Every other year.
Every other year. Yeah, it makes sense. Yes.
So also, it's also on pet owners, because for those who responded that they did not see a veterinarian in the previous year, pet owners cited a lack of perceived need for veterinary care.
So that's on the owner. Has nothing to do with the cost of the vet field.
12.3% of dog owners and 17.4% of cat owners said their pet did not need a checkup in 2023. And those figures jumped to 22.8% and 31.1% respectively in 2024. So that's also on people.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own accountability in this situation.
You're not wrong.
I mean, it's not just all our fault.
Oh, goodness.
Jeez. That was a lot of trending topics.
Woo! My head's spinning. Okay. Listener inquiries.
Okay. Our text message feature is still able to be used for our podcast. So you tap on the podcast. Oh my God. Tap on the episode in your podcast provider. You look at the top where it says send us an inquiry. You click that link. You can text us a comment, question, or concern. If you want to shout out on the podcast, you do have to leave your name. Otherwise, it comes through as anonymous. Okay, you want me to read the first one? Okay. All right, so number 1, I have a senior Australian Shepherd who has recently started to have very restless episodes in the middle of the night. He wakes up panting, shaking, pacing, etc. for an hour or two starting around midnight. He eventually does settle down and go back to sleep, but any advice on what could be causing this? He is on Daramax as needed for OA and does have CHF, which he takes enalapril, furosemide, and vetmedin for. His symptoms of CHF have greatly improved since starting his meds about 3 months ago. There have been no changes to his routine since his restless episode started a few weeks ago. Any thoughts? Thanks and love the pod. Anonymous. Yikes, that's a tough one.
Classic sundowner syndrome.
Yeah, I was going to say that night restlessness is hard.
I see that a lot or hear that a lot as they just age in general.
Doggy dementia.
Yes. Yeah. So, if they can't stay comfortable for too long because of the OA or positioning, if his heart and breathing's under control, I wouldn't blame that necessarily.
Right. I agree. Yeah. Especially if his sleeping respiratory rate's fine.
I also see this in cushingoid patients a lot. So I would say, I don't know if he's a candidate to look for Cushing's or not, but that's something to think about. But
maybe he needs something more to help his OA.
Yeah, I was going to say
more than just a supplement. Yeah, more consistent.
Yeah.
Maybe something stronger to help with the pain.
Especially with osteoarthritis. Like giving it periodically like that, it's not going to cut it
right
at this point. So like giving it on a regular basis would be better.
It's probably just uncomfortable when you lay down for long periods of time.
Maybe he's getting hot.
Yeah, maybe
trying different kinds of
bedding.
Maybe
there's some anxiety that's now starting to spring up with his age.
And that would be the other thing is using something like melatonin.
Yeah. Eyesight too. I mean, maybe he just has the normal aging of the eyes, but their depth perception gets really off with that.
When it's dark too, especially.
Yeah. I personally go for gabapentin in an older dog that has known pain instead of like a melatonin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just to help with pain and sedative.
Yeah. And they can start the gabapentin just at night.
Exactly.
And see how he does.
Yeah, for sure.
I've had good success with that. So maybe
it shouldn't mess up any of the other meds. So
no, it's a safe medication to mix in.
Let us know. Good luck.
Okay.
It's hard when they get older like that.
I know.
Watching dogs age is so sad.
I know. Okay, number 2. How do you manage anemia with cats who have chronic kidney disease?
You guys got that one. I'm just going to sit here and listen.
Well, there is EPO you could get.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Darbopoetin. I think a colleague of ours has done that in one case I can remember. Internists have done that. I've never pulled for Darbo. Because
they have to be at a certain point.
Yes.
And they're kind of fit into this box to use darbopoetin. I feel like they still have to be fairly good, but they have to be anemic enough.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? And so a lot of them, once they get to that anemia level, and I don't remember what it is. I want to say it's 25 or 23 or something.
Yeah.
Then a lot of them are just in the shitter anyway. So then it's like, are you going to spend the money on darbopoetin?
Right.
So I've used it twice in my career, and it works like a charm.
Oh, does it? Interesting.
Yeah. So
when it's from the kidney disease, right?
Yes. Do you want to explain to everybody why that happens? Why anemia could be from kidney disease? Because maybe for some of our listeners.
Yeah. So EPO, what do you call that? Not an enzyme, a factor, whatever. Hormone? Sure.
Okay.
That helps in the manufacturing of red blood cells, to put it shortly, and that is housed in kidneys. So as the kidneys function declines and dies essentially and is not working, you can lose that power, effectiveness of EPO. That's lost in the regeneration of the red blood cells, hence anemia. So darbopoetin is your EPO.
You give it synthetically.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with the bone marrow of the animal. It's just that they don't have that factor telling it to make red blood cells. So then we give it to them, and it works like a freaking charm.
I mean, I'm not against using it at all.
You have to monitor them, though, and you have to then adjust the dosing, and they can only go up by certain percentages, and then you can overshoot them.
Oh.
So like you can make them polycythemic.
Yeah.
So there is some, it's not like you can
just give it and be done.
Yeah. You do have to pay attention to what's happening to the patient.
Well, I think you made a good point, too. Like at that point, you're really looking at the whole quality of life. Is the cat eating and maintaining muscle? Is it, just all the things. Where are the other levels? Where is this real? It's not a cheap drug.
Right.
So it's plus the monitoring expense. So is it, I don't want to say worth it, but that's what you're looking at. So
what other things? Would there be anything else?
For reasons for anemia?
No, just to support a cat with anemia and renal failure.
You just support all the other factors of chronic kidney disease. I guess we could talk about that. Phosphorus less than 4, and that's extrapolated from human studies where it's above 4, they feel sick. So you've got your aluminum binders. Is it aluminum?
Yeah,
right?
aluminum hydroxide.
Hydration, so fluids, teaching owners how to do fluids, anti-nausea because they feel like crap.
Kidney diets.
Yeah, diets. Yeah.
It's a hard one.
Blood pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blood pressure, checking, monitoring that. Yep, for sure.
Protein loss.
Oh, they're just endless.
I hate the discussion with the owners of CKD because it's like, okay, this is what it is,
but
so many
things.
But this is the big picture.
Yeah, there's so many things.
And there's so many different things you have to balance.
And you just know you're overwhelming them.
Yeah, because it's like...
It was overwhelming to me when Jeffrey was diagnosed and I work in the field.
Yeah.
It's just so much.
It's a lot. And then once you get towards the end of their life, all the things you're doing to try to just keep them comfortable, oof.
Yeah.
CKD is not for the weak. It is an intense disease. I do not like it. Having gone through it.
And it's very commonly diagnosed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yep. Stupid kidneys. Okay. Do you want to read the last one?
Okay.
Does somebody want to read it?
Recently discovered your podcast and have really enjoyed it. I usually get a good chuckle out of some of the things you say. The podcast on the loyal drug was very fascinating, but also the mental image of a 30-year-old Maltese is terrifyingly hilarious. Yes, that's true. It would take the crunch factor to a whole new level. Anywho, I'm an associate vet at a small rural practice and have been there for a bit less than 2 years. Throughout the course of my time here, it seems like the technicians and assistants' work ethic and motivation to be there is on the downhill slide. It's like they would rather stand there and scroll on their phone than actually help the doctors in rooms and do their job. Almost everyone will openly admit that the environment and work ethic needs major improvement, but no one will take any personal accountability, which makes it hard to fix the problem when no one thinks they're part of it. I have talked with the chief of staff and office manager many times, and as a clinic have had staff meetings trying to figure out solutions to get people to put in more effort. But it hasn't really changed anything, and the current point system that in place is seen as a joke, something that won't actually lead to any consequences. Do you guys have any suggestions or opinions to help motivate our staff to actually want to do and enjoy their job? Or what are some things All-Star does for techs and assistants to help them feel appreciated and motivated? The clinic has so much potential, and I really want to help us reach all of it. Us all reach it. Thanks, Kai.
That's hard.
Whew, that's a good question.
Yeah.
That is like so much to unpack, Kai. Okay. What are you going to say?
Well, I mean, you go first because you, I mean, I know some things. I remember very candidly King saying, heads will roll if you don't get your shit together. So,
well, I would like to know, interestingly, how big is the practice?
Mm-hmm.
You might have, there's so many things that could be a problem. Like you may have one person trying to lead too many people. So if you have one person who's leading 30 people, they're leading too many people. And so then that's going to be an issue, and it's going to create difficulty with accountability, and it's going to slow down decision making, and you're not going to be able to like really get people to the places they need to be. You know, do you have core values?
It's too much for one person.
Yeah, it's too much for one person. Do you have core values that your decision making is centered around?
Mm-hmm.
That the staff know what their decision making should be centered around. So if you don't have those, then that's going to create a lot of random, you know, like amoeba effect as far as like the direction that you're going. You're going to feel like, oh, we're doing really well this day. And then you're going to feel like, oh, you're going to be like all over the place as far as like no one going in the same direction.
Yeah.
Mom, what would you say if they don't have a leader?
That's
if there is no authority figure.
That's a problem.
If you don't own the clinic, then you have to lead up. You have to basically fill the gap. You have to fill the void. Kai clearly has a interest, right, in solving the problem. So then, you know, that's great. You should be the one then to step into the void, because something will step into the void. So the void always gets filled. Mm-hmm. So you might as well fill it yourself, because you at least have your head in the right place.
Yeah.
Whether or not the people listen to you is a whole nother, you know, depending on where you are as far as your position in the practice and how, if it's a 3-doctor practice, you might have a really good shot at navigating everything and getting it to go forward. If it's a 10-doctor practice, then you've got to, there's a lot to do.
I think that you should, I wonder, when reading this inquiry, I got the vibe that this was a smaller clinic.
A smaller clinic?
I don't know if the rest of you guys got that feeling.
Maybe
when I read chief of staff,
it says small rural practice. So
okay.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's small rural. Okay.
So by that definition, I would agree. I think it's probably small.
Small rural. I wonder what's okay. Well, it could be. Maybe it's 3-doctor practice then.
Yeah. I think I feel like it's so hard if you just don't have people that buy in. So how do you get someone to buy in? Can you really get someone to buy in? Well, that takes a lot of one-on-one, soul-searching, frank conversations.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like, to be honest, if they're not going to buy in, they just can't be there.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to be an anchor weighing everyone down. Bad anchor, not a good anchor. So
yeah,
that's where I'm struggling with. It's like nobody seems to care. How are you going to get people to just randomly start caring? Mm-hmm. Is there other things in their life impeding them from caring? That's a whole separate can of worms that's on them. Is it truly just the entire culture situation that has been created and you have to start from scratch? Okay, well, starting from scratch could mean that you don't keep everyone if they're not going to commit to it.
Yeah, and that's where you really have to establish what the values are. Then you have to do do people have those values?
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, then are they willing to grow those values? And if they're not, then you're right. They have to leave.
Yeah.
So, it's just an entire restructuring, and people typically will leave on their own. Once you establish the values and then you hold people accountable, typically they'll exit because they can't fake it for too long.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they'll trip themselves out, because as long as you hold them accountable.
Right.
If you're not, then everything you say doesn't matter.
Yep. Right. They just get away with it.
They get away with it. So,
well, and it looks like they've had many like staff meetings to try to figure it out. Someone just has to say, well, this is what we're doing.
Yes.
And again, that goes back to the leadership role. You can't just like putz around and say,
get on board or leave.
Yeah, you have to have a solid contract, I guess.
Mom, when you first started the clinic, how long did it take for people to buy in?
I didn't know what I was doing.
She wasn't bought in. Just kidding.
But now, retrospectively,
how long? It really, really, really wasn't like organized well until probably 2017.
The clinic really sucked.
Yeah.
Until
probably
2017. It was.
not
horrible.
Sucked. We made it. We made it.
It was bad. It was rough. It was so bad.
Do you remember that time?
Oh yeah, it was horrible.
Well, did you ever work there?
I seriously can't tell if he's being serious or not.
It was so bad.
I see he's like smiling.
No, it wasn't that it was bad. It was that I didn't understand how to get everybody on the same page.
Which then related to how terrible.
And so then
Harrison.
Then I think once we figured out how to get everybody on the same page, then it all moved in the same direction. And then you acquired people that wanted to be on the same page. And, it's all
then you
just
have the people protecting it.
Right.
And there's still, it's not like it's sunshine and roses between women all the time.
Right.
There's still things you work through, but you go back to the core principles.
Core principles, yeah, exactly.
Well, as somebody who experienced the heads will roll talk, do you think...
I was first off, I was not in the crowd. I was in the doctor's office. So I was not involved in the directly. Continue.
Okay, so Courtney, as somebody who experienced it, do you think that it established more...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It got the point across.
Somebody tell that story, because I don't know if you've ever fully told that story on the podcast.
Of her talking to the technicians?
Yes. And like the background of why that happened, the results of that happening.
There was a lot of, it's a clinic full of women, and there were two specific technicians, I think, that were the root of the cause.
Yes.
But it was just a lot of drama and back and forth, and then other people started getting mixed in. I was mixed into it a little bit because I looked up to both of these technicians because I was a baby tech. And so I got mixed into it. And so it was just creating a very, very, very negative environment for everyone to be a part of. And it got to be too much. And so King sat us all down, and it was a very stern talking to. And I think it kicked all of our asses into gear. And and we also eliminated the two problems.
Yes.
The two
and,
technicians.
and what I think what ultimately they were thinking was, she's going to keep one of us. Which one is she going to keep? And we knew that had to have been part of the thinking. And so we were like, you know what? No, we're not keeping either one of you, because although we could have, it still wouldn't have worked, because
there still would have been one petty person.
Yeah. And so,
well, I think from, at least I was newly there, but seeing from your perspective, you were getting a lot of the people coming to you, and who else was in leadership at that time, but saying like, oh, this person did this and this. So you were hearing all of it like constantly from different perspectives. And I think I would go insane hearing all that crap. So I think that's where your fire came from, is like, I'm done. Like, I'm not trying to, you guys are all adults.
Right. We live in a professional environment. You are professionals, act like professionals.
Yes.
And I think that we don't say that enough in veterinary medicine. I don't think we live that enough in the clinics. And I think that then it creates family crazy environments, and just, you cannot allow it. You can't allow family crazy in the clinic.
Yes.
And I think, though, if you get everybody on the same page, if you establish what it is that you're trying to accomplish, working with the end in mind, and write it out and have an actual mission and vision and core values and what's our 1-year plan and what's our 3-year plan and what's our 5-year plan. And, then you measure everyone against the core values and, then you push out those to everybody. And this is what you're living every day. And as people start to not want to live it, meaning because they're not capable, some people will not be capable of living it, then that's very easy conversation to have with them saying, you know what? We all decided as a group, these were going to be our core values. And you said you agreed that these were going to be our core values and you're not living the core values. It's very non-emotional.
Right.
At that point, it's like, for us at the clinic, being timely, for example, is a core value. If you don't show up on time, I'm not mad at you. It's just like, you're not living our core values. Yeah. You're not being timely. So either you can be timely and continue to work here, or you don't have to work here.
Yes.
That's okay. Doesn't matter to me, but you're not going to continue to be late every single day.
Right.
Because you're not living the core values.
Yeah.
Right. And if you establish that's what your core values are, and then you don't talk to people about them, then it's you. You're the problem, not them.
Yeah.
So, and you may not be in a position to have those conversations, which what needs to happen, but you can't make it happen. That's really difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but my guess is you can make it happen. You just got to get with the right people and get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Mom, why did you never do a point system at the clinic? Because in this inquiry, they mentioned that the point system isn't working. I know other people in the industry that do a point system. Like,
what is it? You get brownie points and then you get docked points?
I don't know. I never really believed in getting points for doing your job.
Well, no.
Like, that doesn't make sense. Now, docking points, like Walmart, for example, gives you, you get docked. You get assigned a point, like you say you're late.
I think the point system is more so for things like raises, like job positions, stuff like that. I'm not saying like you did this blood draw well. Here's a point. Like,
I was going to say, it sounds like my toddler and the way I'm going to raise.
So like Walmart has a point system, and then it's used in your annual review. So then you may not get as high of a raise or whatever. I don't know. I think that if you have difficulty with accountability, then that's going to be really hard to do.
Yeah.
Because you're going to miss things. You're not going to see things. You're going to dock this person, not dock this person. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that, when you're working with people every single day, you need to, hold them accountable to your core values. And if you're not going to, then you're going to get what you get. Mm-hmm. You get what you allow. Period.
Yep.
And so just, I would say if you could get with the person that is the decision maker, and maybe you start to develop a plan. And it's not something that, my guess would be that you're trying to do things in staff meetings here and there and here and there and be like, you guys, it really matters that we're available to each other so that we can get the work done.
Yeah.
And if you're saying that in a staff meeting, everyone's going to be like, yeah, I get that. But then the day's going to get, and then it falls on deaf ears.
Yep.
So I think if you can implement things to teach that instead, and then roll it out as like a process. This is a new process that we're going to use.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to keep their cell phones in there, whatever. Cell phones are really hard. You use that as an example. You're not the only practice that struggles with cell phones. We struggled with cell phones, and you know what? We decided you're never going to get rid of cell phones. They're a tool, and now we use them for all kinds of things. But we had to talk to people about being on cell phones. And even to this day, that is a conversation they have with people about.
I was going to say, I still see people on them all the
You're
time.
on your cell phone. You could be doing this instead. It's still going to happen.
Yeah.
And, I think those are things that it cannot affect the work of the practice. And that's, it's really hard. I think one thing you could do is, as far as like knowing, you could do a engagement survey. So halfway through the year, you're coming into June now.
Mm-hmm.
So take an engagement survey with the staff, have the staff take an engagement survey and see where the potholes are. So that's one thing you could do. So it's a small practice. You could give everybody the work appreciation test, or love language, business love language appreciation. And then you would know how people like to be appreciated.
Yep.
And so then you're not doing stuff that doesn't matter to them or falls on deaf ears, right?
Yep.
So those might be helpful.
We have that at work. We have a list of things that, it's a whole list of questions: favorite candy, favorite color, favorite candle smell,
And then we did the language of appreciation, so somebody likes acts of service or quality time or gifts or so then you'd be able to pick for that particular person how you would show appreciation for that person.
We also have a work group chat and people are shouting people out almost daily of something you did good, and then that just motivates you to want to keep doing hard work and
share reviews.
It feels nice.
Share reviews with so every staff meeting, maybe part of your staff meeting is sharing 1 or 2 reviews that called people out by name.
Yeah.
And so then people are getting reinforced that way as well, that they are making a difference.
We have a praise paw board. So you give a praise to somebody who did good or that you just want to say something nice to, and it's posted on a bulletin board in our clinic for everybody to see.
Yeah. And then I'm sure you're already doing this, but the appreciation weeks.
Yeah.
For the different positions within your practice, celebrate those people during those weeks.
Yep.
Ask clients to, especially in the small practices, ask clients to celebrate them. You can post on your Facebook page and clients will write in notes and stuff. And, and so that can be really motivating as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But yeah, the people there have to want to do it. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that is.
Best of luck.
Best of luck. Stay after it. It does make a difference. You are correct. And so you're not wrong in what you're trying to do.
Correct.
And if you need resources from a book perspective,
she goes with their books.
There's Crucial Accountability, which is fantastic. It teaches you how to hold people accountable. And then there's a John Maxwell book that talks about what was the one that we read about the teamwork? Did we read the teamwork one? 16 Habits or the
No, it was the one with the Army.
No, not the Army one. The John Maxwell one where he talked about one bad apple will run an entire barrel of apples.
Oh my gosh, I can picture it.
Teamwork, 16 Laws of Teamwork.
I think you're right. It was Laws of something. Just look up
Teamwork, John Maxwell.
Yeah.
Laws.
Yes,
that'll get you the right book. But that's really reading, especially in a small practice. You guys can all read a book together.
Yep.
But you need to do something consistently to move the needle. So, every week you need to be doing something with your group. It doesn't need to be a lengthy amount of time, but you could have a lunch meeting, 30 minutes every Thursday, and you talk about this chapter of the book you're reading.
Yeah.
And you will find that if you start doing that with a small group, you will develop a language that everybody understands, that they'll be able to draw on examples of when they're living those things. And so that would be another really helpful way to motivate them.
Yep. Great advice.
Oh,
yeah.
I think that was helpful.
Said.
Wow.
Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Veterinary Roundtable. Remember, send in those questions and leave us a review if you enjoyed this episode or a previous one. We'll see you next week for another episode of the Veterinary Roundtable.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.